Today we're in Weir's Cave, Virginia, visiting the farm of Gerald Garber, Cave View Farms, where Governor Taylor McAuliffe is speaking about resource management plans. In this special edition of Virginia Farming, we're talking about the state of agriculture in the Commonwealth.
And that each farmer, with the assistance of professionals, needs to make the decisions about what practices work best for them and their respective operations.
The governor spoke to the crowd about resource management plans and took some time to speak to Virginia farming. So Governor, resource management plans, what do they entail for our farmers, and what do the farmers have to do to meet these benefits?
Well, first of all, this is all voluntary. We're just kicking off the program. We started it July 1st. This is a way to increase productivity, obviously to preserve our tributaries. This is a win-win for everybody. There will be federal money involved. There'll be cost sharing with the state, so there'll be resources available. And listen, our farmers are the best stewards of our lands, and this is a way for it to take it to the next level, to do some steps to protect the land, to increase productivity, and at the same time preserve our beautiful Chesapeake Bay and all the rivers and that go along with it. So this is a win for everybody.
William Baker, president of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, says fencing cattle away from water is a good start.
Keeping cattle out of streams is not only good for the stream for all the obvious reasons, but it's very good for the health of the cattle. And that translates directly to the bottom line for the farmer. That's a great win-win for agriculture and for clean water.
Baker also says there's been some improvement in the bay's condition.
Pollution has been reduced about half in the last 25 years versus our targets. Now we know the second half is always more difficult, but if you take the target at 100%, we're about halfway there in terms of the amount to be reduced. Oysters are coming back, the dissolved oxygen or dead zones are going down, but it's still a system out of balance. And so there's a lot more to do, but we're definitely going in the right direction.
We also caught up with Virginia Secretary of Agriculture, Todd Haymore. So if a farmer is interested in enrolling in any of these programs, and this is not one program, as the governor mentioned in his speech, this is about fencing off streams.
Right.
There's a lot of different areas involved.
Right. It recognizes that farms are unique, just like individuals. Every farm is unique in its characteristics, so there's no cookie cutter approach. Every farmer gets to work with a resource management planner to create the best things for the land quality, water quality of his or her individual farm. And that's unique. We're one of the handful of states in the country that's doing this, but it's the right thing to do. I mean, Virginia, agriculture has been the largest industry for years and years and years, probably since the founding of our country. And so this program, working with the environmental community and agriculture together, allows farms to put the best management practices to use for their individual farms, and the farmers get credit for it. We know in state government, so as we talk to the EPA and other institutions, we know what we're doing here in Virginia, and we can get full credit for it. Not only is this good for the environment, it's also good for the economy because farmers will be more efficient, they'll produce better products, and those products can be sold right here in the valley, but also all around the world. So this is a win-win, good for the environment and good for the economy.
And what about Virginia's economy? The poultry ban on China has been lifted.
You bet.
So let's talk a little bit about our Virginia exports. What are your plans for Virginia exports, agriculture exports in particular?
Well, listen, I've been hitting this hard. I think we've had at least 15 ambassadors from around the globe down to Richmond to have lunch with myself and Secretary of Agriculture Todd Haymore. I just went to China. I just went to Europe. I just had the Prime Minister. I just had dinner with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. I just signed a new trade agreement with France. So increasing our exports is something I focus on. I worked very hard in lifting the ban. For 7 years we had a ban here, and I want to thank the folks at the federal level, our Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, our United States Trade Rep, all of them we got together. We were able to lift that ban after 7 years. And I was with the Purdue folks the other day, and they told me it was about $25 million just for Purdue. Now think of our other four or five, just Purdue, our other 4 or 5 other poultry folks in the Commonwealth. So this was a huge win for us, getting that ban lifted, and so increasing our exports. I meet or have a conversation at least once a day with some foreign leader or someone involved in foreign activity. How do you get them to buy more Virginia agriculture products? So I love doing this.
It should be a pretty easy sale. I mean, all the stuff we have is good.
It's great, no question. Everything that we have is spectacular. And listen, it is an easy sell. You know, the issue is, as you travel around the globe, we need to make sure, you know, when people think of the United States of America, like I just had dinner with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he's heard of Texas, he's heard of California, he's heard of New York, now he's heard of Virginia. So I think once we get our message out and start talking to folks, listen, it's just dramatic growth that we can have, and what an opportunity for our farmers and our producers. I mean, this is what we have to do. It is a great asset. We got to take it to the next level. We've got to create more jobs. We got to make sure that more of our young folks are going into farming. I think that's an important, what we need to do to make sure we protect these family farms and we grow them.
That's my last question. What do we do to get young farmers up and going? What can we do to make it easier to get people more interested in
I think
farming?
we need to incentivize, I think education, first of all, to understand what a great field this is to go into, that the potential growth opportunities, I think, are spectacular. Show them the economics of it. How this works and how you can grow and be successful at it. And then we at the state level need to do our part to really make sure we're working with our education system to talk about farming, talk about agriculture, make it more part of our curriculums so people understand what an absolute great career. I mean, look at this is spectacular out here with all these beautiful cows I have here behind me. I mean, wouldn't you love being able to do this every single day?
I did it every single day.
Good
My dad
for
was
you.
a dairy farmer, so I've been there.
Well, my mother's family were all dairy farmers. Used to have a huge dairy farm, and actually still do in upstate New York today, Byrne Dairy. So I grew up with this as well.
It's a great lifestyle, and I hope it's one that we can pass on to a lot more generations.
The problem is those next generations are not going into farming. Secretary Haymore says Virginia has the resources to get that next generation back into farming.
We've got great organizations like Farm Bureau with Ag in the Classroom is a great start from the private sector or the organizational sector. There's opportunities to do more in the Department of Education. I know the previous administration worked on some new ag education initiatives in partnership with Farm Bureau and Agribusiness Council. This administration will pick up with those. I had a conversation the other day with some of the Farm Bureau government affairs leadership about some meetings that they were getting ready to have with the Secretariat of Education in Virginia. So a lot of things, you know, we need to do what we can to make more aware, the people of Virginia more aware about all the benefits of agriculture. We have the ability to feed ourselves here in Virginia. We have the ability to help feed the nation. We have the ability to help feed the world. But you're right, if we're losing farmland and our farmers are not profitable, they're going to turn to do something else. And we must do what we can in state government to try to stem that tide. And we have over the last few years. There's been a lot of things going on from the state level, but also from the federal level to try to make sure that we're doing what we can to help permanently preserve farmland. And I'd hope we can continue that under the McAuliffe administration.
The UN says that the world will consist of about 9 billion people by the year 2050. And that means we have to double and come close to tripling the food production that we're doing now in the United States. How are we going to do that?
Well, today is a good example. This is a good private-public partnership working together here to give Gerald Garber and other farmers here in the Shenandoah Valley the tools that they need to get credit for all the great stewardship that they've already got in place and the things that they'll do going forward so they can produce high-quality products just like the milk that's being produced here on this farm. We've got to continue to work, though. We've got to give our farmers more opportunities to produce and put their products in the global marketplace, and that's the role that we play. You're right, 9 billion people coming up in the next 40 to 50 years that must be fed, and that's the way I look at it. So we're trying our best to give those opportunities to the growers to move that product in the marketplace, and that's why I believe the 10 trade offices that we have now working to sell more Virginia products is just a start. And I'd like to see more opportunities. I'd like to see Virginia agriculture be known around the world as some of the best products in the world and give our farmers more opportunities, because it's there. I had a guy who's been in agriculture for more than 50 years tell me about a month ago that this is the most exciting time in his life, and he's in his 70s, to be in agriculture because of all these opportunities to help feed the world.
I want to move a little bit about, move on to another subject about the state of Virginia agriculture. I know we're working on exports and everything's improving. What's your take up to date? Where are we with some of the implementation plans that the new governor's put forth?
Well, as he said in his remarks, he's all in for agriculture, and he asked me to stay on as secretary after I was finishing up my term under Governor McDonnell. We had worked in that administration to put agriculture inside the overall economic development platform of the governor's office. Governor McAuliffe has kept it there and is trying to take it to even higher levels. So our focus is on two things. We're working on domestic development, working with existing agribusinesses to help them grow and expand, but recruiting new agribusinesses from other states, around the country, around the world, here to Virginia. And so building up that domestic development to give farmers like Gerald Garber and others here in the Shenandoah Valley new opportunities to sell their products to. At the same time, we're building up our global infrastructure. When we came into office 4 years ago under McDonald, we had one international trade office for agriculture and forestry. We now have 10. We have offices in China, India, Russia, the United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, and Costa Rica, and we're looking to do more. We're looking at regions of the world where we can grow, and it's all about moving those products into the global marketplace. And when I say global, I mean from a farmer's market in Harrisonburg to a port in China. It's all about giving growers new opportunities to sell their products. We were at $2.8 billion last year in exports in agriculture and forestry products. We're going to try to go over 3 this year, and the governor has set a goal during his 4 years to be the #1 ag and forestry exporter on the East Coast. We're behind Georgia and North Carolina, so we've got our work cut out for us, but working together from the grower base all the way through the General Assembly and around the world, we're going to do it.
So the state of agriculture in the Commonwealth is booming. It's growing, and it's an extremely exciting time to be involved in agriculture. We'll be right back.